Hi, I'm Lisa Burling, and I'm so honoured to be sitting here with Jo Burston, who is the CEO and founder of Inspiring Rare Birds. Perhaps if we start at the wrong end and start with Inspiring Rare Birds, can you tell us a little bit about the organisation?
I started the organisation in 2013 as a bit of an idea, and it was really sparked from my curiosity about the lack of women entrepreneurs in our ecosystem, or the visibility of them, and why that visibility was so important for our next generation, to be able to see who they can become as they grow and see who they can aspire to be like. So after visiting my old school at Revesby South Public School and Picnic Point High School in southwest Sydney, I spoke to these young girls at the school that I went to and asked them really about entrepreneurship and what an entrepreneur was. And to my real astoundment, I guess, and my sadness, they all thought it was a man, or a man that did something in business. If we have half of our national population growing up thinking that that's men's business or men's role to have a business, then we're just going to miss out on this massive opportunity economically and socially to grow our nation and then to have an impact on the world stage that we're living in.
And so when you visited those schools and you went away and you looked at the responses that you got, what did you do next?
The first thing I did was cry, because it was really sad for me. I have nieces. I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old niece now, and I felt a complete responsibility, and that responsibility was to ensure that they were exposed to every opportunity that they could have as young women of the future, and whether that be leadership or flying planes or being doctors, I wanted them to see that entrepreneurship is actually a career choice. I started to think about my own journey and what really was there in my journey and what was missing in my journey when I was going through my serial entrepreneur stage, and how hard it was to find people and things and resources to help me grow not just my business but grow myself and be able to have the toolkit to combat the challenges that I started to face in that journey.
Yeah, I love that, Jo. And one of the things that you've said to me is that your ambassadors and the women that are in your Rare Birds community are the heroes, and Rare Birds, the organisation, is the enabler. And I totally agree with you. I think anyone else's success should be your success as well, because you want people around you when it is yours, but also you learn so much. And if everyone around you is doing it, then it speaks volumes about who you are too. So,
you know, I've got a sickness that's easy to cure, and I'm addicted to watching people succeed. I get so high on it, and I get such a buzz of it, because I know every little success means such a big thing to that individual human being. And we talk about the connection between humans, and I feel that. I feel it deeply when I watch people succeed. And, you know, it can take just one simple compliment or one simple word of encouragement to entirely change the course of a female's business and their mindset to go to the next stage or the next level of where they're at.
You spoke about your upbringing. You're a country girl, your dad was a fireman, your mum was a bank teller. How does Jo Burston, the entrepreneur, kind of blossom from that sort of environment?
I was really fortunate as a kid. I feel like I've had a fortunate life. We had very little. I was actually adopted, so I was an orphan at some point in my really early life, and I was collected by two people that wanted nothing more than to love me, and so that stays in my being and in my purpose every single day. There was no business people in our family. There's no business owners in the entire family except for one, and he's got a trucking company.
Okay, so slightly different.
We couldn't be any more different. And the script that was in my head was, I need to go to school, get a job, meet someone, get married, have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and voila, I'm happily ever after.
Yep.
And I did all of those things except for have the 2 kids, and I was miserable. I was actually really unhappy. That's a script that my parents had given me, because that was the script that their parents had given them. Not right or wrong, just a script. And I thought, this is not for me.
Love it. Just on that note, in terms of all the things in your head, clearly you are an incredibly busy woman. You have a lot of balls in the air, and that's how you like it, because I don't believe you choose this life if you know, chaos and, you know, disorganisation at sometimes isn't something that you're comfortable with. What do you do to keep yourself sane? What are your daily rituals that others might take something from?
I learnt this the hard way. I've had to go through the process twice of having a burnout in business. The first one was really early on, and I lost my father to cancer and had this juggling act going on. And, you know, do I continue to run the business? It was 2.5 years old. Do I continue to run the business? Do I chuck it all in? You know, I just fell in a heap, and you know what that feeling's like, where you know the clouds are hanging really low.
Yeah.
That was a massive wake-up call for me, and I decided really after going through that point, I spent a week in bed, you know, with the lights off, and it was dark, and it was like I just wanted to hide from the world. And I got out of bed, and you know what? And I went to see this woman, and I thought, no, I want a big life. I want to create a really big hurricane, and I want to be inside the hurricane, outside the hurricane, but I want it to be my hurricane. And in order for it to be my hurricane, I have to orchestrate how it looks. So on a daily basis now, you might know I yoga every morning for 2 hours. I'm up before the sun's up, and that's a space where nobody's allowed. You're not allowed in the door. You're not allowed to disturb me. It's in complete silence. I have a yogi that comes to my house 4 mornings a week because I want to progress all the time. And that's been really good conditioning for my body and for my mind. And so by the time I'm walking to work, I don't have a car. I walk everywhere. I walk to work. By the time I walk to work, I'm clear and I'm ready, and my body's full of energy, and it's time to get going. And that walk to and from work helps me declutter or get ready for the day. So each year I go through this funny process in January. I normally do it in Fiji. I'm on this island I love to go to, and I'm kiteboarding and diving and all sorts of stuff. And I write a list of people that I want to meet that year. And they could be like the Sir Richard Bransons. One year I wrote down Kofi Annan, Mohammed Yunus, Julian Assange, Peter Backer, Peter Schwartz. And the next
no one big.
No, and the next year I met them all. Like seriously, I just manifested this thing, and it happened. And
how powerful is it just writing something down, setting the intention?
And it was intuitiveness. You talked about intuitiveness. I'd already mapped out in my head the ideal state of what it would look like when I met them. So I already knew what was going to happen when I met them, the conversation I wanted to have, what I wanted to talk about, etc. And so how I choose to spend time and who I choose to spend that with is so critical to my well-being and to my wellness and life. And then the other thing is I'm just really honest about what I need and what I want. And it's so different, you know, past the phase of stuff. You know, and I think that's probably a transition I've gone through philosophically through practicing yoga so much and understanding, you know, what are the things that weigh me down to stop me from becoming a more evolved human being.
I love it. I feel like I'm getting a mentoring session just talking to you. Okay, last question, because we could chat all day. You are an amazing entrepreneur, achieved so much and will continue to do so, inspiring women. What does an entrepreneur look like to you in 2050?
Oh, wow. The next generation of entrepreneurs, the one after, are going to make the world a better place for us again. I think they're going to be so much more conservative of the planet that we're occupying. I think they're going to have so much information and data about how we're currently destroying things that there's no excuse not to make it better. And I think they're going to feel a deep sense of responsibility to do that. I think the younger entrepreneurs are completely altruistic. They're so socially hearted and minded, and you know, it's only 30 years away. Oh,
thank you, Jo. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my greatest pleasure to meet you finally, and just to have a wonderful heart-to-heart conversation. And I'm just so proud of you.
Thanh you. And here's to Rare Birds being in the Illawarra and the Shoalhaven. So
thank you. And we're just warming up.
That's right. Thank you.
You're welcome.